The new law gives school districts the power to authorize corporal punishment if it's set out in a formal policy approved by the board. If that happens, parents can opt in by signing a consent form, or they can opt out by not signing. And what exactly does corporal punishment mean? Good question. That's up to the districts and to the boards. So it could mean locking students in a room alone or forcing them to hold difficult poses, which, by the way, Ruby Franke was a big fan of. But it could also mean shaking or spanking or hitting or kicking or some combination thereof. Florida is one of 14 states that allows those kinds of punishments in schools. I want to bring in Tarlika Nunez-Navarro, former judge, prosecutor, and defense attorney, who's now the dean of St. Thomas University College of Law. Judge, this is such an interesting development. I'm sure that half the audience right now is, thank God, finally, we're going to get those kids back and get them back in line. And in my day, I got the, the ruler to the back of the hand, which, by the way, I just said in my day, I promised I wasn't going to. But other people are going to say this is appalling. You cannot leave up to teachers a level of violence that who knows how aggressive or how strong they are. What could possibly go wrong here?
Well, Ashleigh, like you, I saw the headline. I dove right in. I was skeptical, and I read the law, and it's not as bad as you think it is. It's the 17 rural counties in the state of Florida who already allow for corporal punishment, to then have the parents opt out if they choose to, or opt in. And essentially, it creates guidelines and safeguards for the school districts and the parents. So it's giving them more protection than they already had.
So what kind of guidelines? For instance, if they say you can use a ruler and you can hit the back of a kid's hand, well, Mrs. Smith, who's 90 pounds, may not hurt as much as, Mr. Jones, who's 300 pounds and a wrestler. His hit on the back of the wrist could actually break a blood vessel or maybe break a knuckle.
Right. So all of these policies have to be outlined by the school board. They have to be reviewed every 3 years. They have to be administered by a supervised principal. They have to have a witness in the room, and they have to have a written, detailed explanation to the parent of why this student is being reprimanded and punished. And the parents have the opportunity to be called before each punishment, or they can just opt in for the year, depending on what the parent chooses.
I worry about the teacher liability, too, because if something goes sideways and a kid is really badly injured, could that teacher be held liable? And by extension, could that teacher opt out of all of this for fear of that?
Yes, the teachers do not have to participate. It made it very clear that the teachers do not, if they do not feel comfortable, they do not have to participate. And you shouldn't, it is a slippery slope, but if they're saying moderate use of physical force, they're not even saying what we use in the courts. As a criminal judge, as a family law judge, we use the word reasonable punishment, not excessive or abusive. Here in this bill, it's moderate use of physical force. So they're taming it down. I do see the slippery slope, but I don't see the liability being too high, considering the fact that the parents have to opt in or they can opt out.
Well, I'm a child of the 60s, and I'll tell you something, Judge. That whole moderation didn't happen with my preschool teacher who beat the living you-know-what out of me at age 3-ish, 4-ish, when I accidentally wore my boots on the jungle gym and I kicked Jason Halter in the mouth. That's what I'm fearful of, is that somebody gets a teacher like I had who could not stop herself for the amount of times she was hitting me. And I was just little, and I just worry that maybe there are those teachers out there who may opt in because that stuff's fun. I just worry about that stuff. Although I worry a lot about what that kid was doing to that teacher in the gym. I wanted to smack him upside the head myself.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.